So, how does a company that literally started in a garage end up, redefining our entire world? That's what we're going to dig into today. We're opening up the Apple playbook, a story of near failure, relentless innovation, and a strategy that built one of the most valuable empires in history. All right, let's just start with a number that is so big it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around it. $3 trillion. At its peak, that was Apple's market value, a milestone no other company had ever even gotten close to. This isn't just a big number, it's a symbol of global dominance built over decades of work. Which brings us to the big question, right? How do you go from selling hand-assembled computer kits to a valuation that just dwarfs the economies of most countries? Well, it's not magic. Turns out there's a very deliberate playbook. And today, we're going to open it up and take a look inside. Okay, so our story really kicks into high gear in the late 90s. And you have to remember, at this point, Apple was in trouble, like deep trouble. Many people thought it was over for them. What happened next? Well, it's one of the greatest corporate turnarounds in history, period. I mean, just look at the pace of change here. It's absolutely wild. When Steve Jobs came back in '97, he didn't just tweak a few things. No, he unleashed this wave of industry-shattering products. In '98, the iMac made computers cool again. In 2001, the iPod completely upended the music industry. Then, bam, 2007, the iPhone. It didn't just join the industry, it defined it. And that relentless pace has kept up, all the way to today's incredible M-series chips. And look, this wasn't just about throwing new gadgets at the wall and seeing what stuck. Not at all. This was a fundamental shift in their entire philosophy. It was all about simplicity, beautiful design, making tech that people actually loved to use. They stopped building just tools and started building experiences. But here's the thing. The amazing products, they're really only half the story. The real genius, the thing that created all this incredible durable value, is the strategy behind the products. People call it Apple's walled garden, and honestly, it's the key to everything. So at the heart of this strategy is something called vertical integration. The best way to think about it? Imagine a master chef who doesn't just cook the meal. No, this chef also grows all their own vegetables, raises their own livestock, and even owns the restaurant. That's Apple. By designing their own chips, they can make their software run in a way that competitors just can't touch. For Apple, that level of control is everything. So here's how it all locks together in practice. You've got the hardware, right? Your iPhone, your Mac. That hardware runs on Apple's own software, iOS, macOS. And that software then plugs you directly into this whole universe of services. The App Store, iCloud, Apple Music. Each part is designed to make the other parts more powerful and more valuable. And what you get at the end of all that is this incredibly powerful, seamless ecosystem. You know how it is. Your AirPods just instantly connect to your iPhone. Your photos magically sync from your phone to your Mac. It all just works. Now, of course, that seamless experience has a flip side, right? It means less choice. And that level of control is exactly why Apple has faced so much criticism and even antitrust lawsuits. But from a business perspective, that stickiness is the absolute bedrock of their financial empire. So that stickiness we were just talking about, well, that translates directly into massive shareholder value. Because look, having a brilliant strategy is one thing, but the market has to actually reward you for it. And in Apple's case, oh boy, has it been rewarded. This chart here really just gives you a snapshot, but the story is incredible. For decades, Apple stock hasn't just beaten the market, that's the S&P 500 you see there, it has absolutely demolished it. This isn't some lucky short-term thing. This is the direct long-term payoff of a strategy that just keeps delivering growth and massive profits. And get this, check out the acceleration here. It's insane. It took Apple 42 years to become the first publicly traded company worth $1 trillion. A huge deal. But then it only took 2 more years to hit $2 trillion. And then just 16 months later, boom, $3 trillion. That just shows you the insane compounding power of their ecosystem and brand loyalty. Okay, so when you boil this whole incredible journey down, what are the actual lessons? What is the Apple playbook that pretty much everyone in tech is trying to copy? All right, here it is, the playbook, distilled down. First, you build an ecosystem, not just a single product. Then, you have to prioritize a long-term vision instead of just chasing short-term trends. You use real, deep innovation, like designing your own chips, to build a competitive advantage nobody can easily copy. You build a brand that people truly trust. And finally, none of it works without stable leadership to execute the plan. I mean, that transition from Steve Jobs to Tim Cook could have been a disaster, but it was seamless. So in the end, Apple didn't just build a wildly successful company. They literally wrote the blueprint for how to dominate the tech world in the 21st century. And that leaves us with the big question, right? Was this a one-time masterpiece, a perfect storm of timing and genius? Or is this a playbook that the next generation of tech titans can actually follow? That's the $3 trillion question.